Hi everyone, my name is Shay. Welcome back to my YouTube channel titled Let's Talk, where I will be sharing my testimony on how God has elevated my life. And as you guys would see, we're going on a journey and we have already gone through volume 1 and we have recently uploaded our last video for volume 1 and now we're moving on to volume 2. All right. Just a disclaimer, I am not sharing my testimony to get any form of pity party from anyone. Just to let you guys know, I am doing all of this because it is a part of an instruction from God. And God has given us free will. And of course, we can choose whether or not we want to be obedient or disobedient. And I, however, chose to be obedient because as a child of God, it's not about you anymore. It's not about me. When you're walking with God, it means that you have to give up yourself. You can't be selfish. You can't think about yourself. You can't think about what everyone else is thinking. You have to do accordingly to what God has instructed you to do. And so I am here to do that which God has asked of me, because He stated in His word in Matthew 6 verse 33 saying, "Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all of His righteousness, and everything will be added unto you." So when you seek God first, He will then add everything else unto you, because you're putting Him first. And that's essentially what I am doing. Not by my own will, not by my own ways, because if it was left to me alone, as I explained this in the first video, I would have never come on social media and stating my deepest, darkest secrets, right? But at the same time, I don't see with my past anymore, for God has cleansed me of all of it. And so in Psalms 46 verse 10, it says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." So basically, God is saying that we should be still and know that He is God, for He will be magnified and glorified on this earth, irrespective of whatever. And therefore, in addition to that, this is also to help others to know that your current and your past situation does not define who you are. It does not. And this is why I am sharing my testimony, to help other people, be it female or male, to let them know that your current situation or your past situation does not define who you are in God, because God knows your name. And so what the enemy or the devil meant for bad, God is turning it out for our good. So my past does not define me. God cleansed me of all that shame, guilt, pride, and ego. And so I know my worth, and therefore I am happy to share my testimony, for God is my refuge and my fortress. And lastly, I have forgiven me. So lastly, I have forgiven me. Yes, all good and dandy when you say, "Oh yes, I forgive everybody else," but if you haven't forgiven yourself, then it's not worth it. And therefore I have forgiven myself, so I can come here and I can share my testimony with no shame, with no guilt, because my God has made me fresh, brand new. Thanks be to God. Nonetheless, let's get into volume 2 part 1. Just to let you guys know that everything that we go through is supposed to benefit us later on in life. So everything that we've been through is meant to benefit us later on in life. Therefore, all my pain, all my suffering, the heartaches, the abuse, the rejection, the list goes on and on and on, right? So all these things, you now, and as well as myself, has seen how God is working it all out in my favor. He's working it out in my favor. So as you guys come along this journey with me, you will be able to see how everything unpacks, and you will see how God has indeed elevated my life. Story time. So let's backtrack to when I was living in the community where I was getting bullied from the girls that we were in competition with the church dresses. So we're just backtracking a little bit. So remember, I was saying how the sexual molestation from grown men and wanting attention from grown men, because I was starting to desire grown men. Remember, I was speaking about that to you guys. Anyways, so we're going back to that in a sense. So at the time, my guardian had given me a phone, and it was a Sony Ericsson phone. It was one of them not touch phones, sorry, them button phones. So you know those ones that you have to press 3 times to get the word in. Yeah. So these young generations don't understand, these Gen Zs, but nonetheless, so I was given one of those phones back then, and from my guardian, but we had helpers as well. So we had helpers who would look after us. So my guardian had to go to work. I recall one day, one of my grand uncles came to visit us at the house, and he had one of his workmates with him. So it was one of his friends or workmates. So they came together, and my grand uncle, he would always come to look for us and stuff like that. You know how family does. Anyways, instantly when this grown man, and I put emphasis on grown man because you will see that there is a pattern with grown men. Me desiring grown men, yes. So instantly when the grown man saw me, he gave me a look. So that was the man who came with my uncle. He gave me a look, and this look he gave me said, "I want you." So it was like this look, like this love struck look, like he's saying, "I want you," kind of look, without even saying any words. So you know those look that somebody can give to you, but you can just read it and you just know exactly what they're saying. That was that look. Nonetheless, I remember he wrote his number on a piece of paper and quickly squeezed it in my hand so that no one would see. So none of my families or my cousins or my brothers or my nanny, so the helper would see, because at the time my guardian was at work. I have a phone, so I have my phone. So what I would do, I would always use some of my lunch money and I would go purchase the credit, so phone card from the shop, and I would then now call. So I would make the call, and then I remember he said to me that he loved me. Yes, this man said he loved me. And mind you, I was 11 going on to 12 at that point. I would always delete his number and all of his text messages every time he would call me or I would call him. So fast forwarding now, I remember leaving my phone at the house, not expecting him to call me at all. And I was at my friend's house, and of course he knows the drill, not to call me unless I call him, right? If I drop him like a missed call, if I don't have enough credit and I drop him a missed call, then he can ring me back. That's the only time he should ring me, right? Nonetheless, that went out the door, I guess, and he called, and I was at my friend's house and my phone was on charge. Yes, so I'd left my phone in the house on charge and went to the neighbor's house, so which was my friend's house, and we were there. And my guardian was at work at this point, so again, I was being overseen by the helpers that we had. So we had few helpers that came to help us out, and we had one that was permanent as well. Anyways, so I remember being there, and then all of a sudden I hear this commotion, like my cousins and my brother running down to where I was at the friend's house and said, "Oh yes, now you get catch." So basically they're saying, "Oh yes, you have gotten caught." And of course, anyone who knows what that means, it means that your heart left your body, right? Because if somebody comes and say, "Yes, now you get catch" in Jamaica, you know, as a child, you know that, okay, you're going to be in problems, you're in problems, right? Something happened. So at this point now, my soul left my body. So literally, I didn't have any soul left. It left my body because I knew instantly that this man had called the phone. So the helper, I think it was the helper who had answered the phone, or one of my cousins. I think it was one of my cousins, if I'm not mistaken. And they heard when the man said, "Hey baby, I missed you." He said, "Hey baby, I missed you." I remember it so vividly when they were repeating it back to my guardian. Of course, when my guardian came home, they said it all. They told my aunt. So instantly, that was it. My aunt now called my dad. So this was the time now my dad was either coming from tour or he was getting ready to go on tour. So at this point, phone got confiscated from me, and I got a hefty discipline from my guardian. And then, of course, the angry words that came after that, saying, calling me outside of my name, all of that happened because, of course, anger, and you're a child. What are you doing in big people's business, basically, right? So I think that would be warrant in that sense, if you should ask me. But nonetheless, then my dad found my yard, my house. Stay tuned for part 2.